Hello, I'm Blake Estridge, and my presentation will be on Stephen King's book, Misery. Stephen King is an American author who has achieved great success. He has had numerous bestsellers throughout his career, with Misery being one of his top-selling books. He's easily recognizable around the world as one of the most popular artists today. He was born in Maine, where he attended the University of Maine at Orano, and after finishing school, he taught as an English professor at a preparatory school in Maine. He began writing novels about that time, and his first successful novel, Carrie, was one of the best sellers of his career. That was what allowed him to focus solely on his writing career. Um, Although he's had many bestsellers and many popular books throughout his career, he was not always reviewed well by critics. But as he continued to have a long career of success, and as he continued to write more, the opinions changed as they saw that he clearly had something that the public liked. Um, he is a he is known best for writing in the horror genre and for bringing the horror genre back to the forefront of novels today. One thing that happened to him is after he had achieved success, he had a fan break into his house and threaten his family. The fan believed that he stole the plot of a book that they were writing and made it his own, and he threatened his family while Stephen King wasn't there. This relation between King and his crazed fan is part of what they believe is the inspiration behind the book Misery, as it also deals with an author and his crazed fan. So the essay took a specific look at the antagonist of the story, Annie Wilkes. There's only two main characters of the book, Annie and Paul, and the relation between the two of them is extremely crucial to the book's success. Paul is a successful writer who writes the Misery series that Annie is obsessed with. She takes him prisoner once he wrecks his car off the side of the road and uses this as an advantage to have her pet writer with her. She suffers from mental imbalances and bipolar disorder. So she's friendly and likable most of the time, but whenever the bipolar kicks in and she goes through periods of depression, she has intense psychosis and a, a lot of paranoid rage. Um, she, when Paul is captured, his initial thoughts of her are quite grim, but he quickly realizes that his situation is worse than he would have thought. She's created her own world inside of her house that is isolated and where she has complete control. The house reflects her in many ways because from the outside it appears perfectly normal. It has a nice barn in the back, the farmhouse looks perfectly normal, and everything looks well taken care of. There's even a phone inside the house. However, on the inside the house is not as it seems. The phone is disconnected because she wants to keep up appearances that it's perfectly normal, but she doesn't want anything from the outside world coming in to ruin her perfect world that she's created for herself. Um, her capturing Paul is what ultimately starts the downfall of her perfect world that she has created. Her obsession with the Misery novel is what allows Paul to buy time in his life or death ordeal, as he knows she will kill him after the novel, but she won't kill him until the novel is done because she's so fascinated with it. Um, Her being the antagonist of the story is critical because because there's only two characters. She has to be a strong character on her own, not only with her relationship with Paul. Um, she's more sympathized with and more realistic than many of King's other supernatural antagonists, and this makes it easier for the reader to identify with her and get more of her point of view. However, when the bipolar depression kicks in and she turns to violent acts, it actually provides more fear to the reader because of the initial shock of it. One of the major themes of the novel is the relationship between the reader and the writer. This is through several different ways, but the most evident way that the novel explores a relationship between reader and writer is through the writer Paul and his number one fan, Annie. The influence that the reader has on the writer is actually a major theme. Stephen King has experienced this himself throughout his career, as the public and what they wish to read is a large influence on what he'll write and how successful what he writes is. He showed this using the Paul and Annie. He showed a lot of how he views this. Because she's such a big fan of the Misery novels, she loves to read everything that he has, but she has severely different opinions on his serious novels and his popular novels. When Paul crashes, Annie recovers the manuscript of his serious novel, Fast Cars, and she reads it. She doesn't like the novel as much as the Misery novels. She says that it's not the same, and she doesn't approve of the language or the themes of the novel. As the reader, she gives him the worst bad review that she could and forces him to burn his manuscript so as to get rid of the book. She then forces him to write another Misery novel, as that is what she, representing the public, wants. This shows that the reader does have tremendous power over what the writer will write. The success of the novel Misery is both commercial and academic. The novel was clearly a commercial success, as it was a bestseller and was even made into a movie version. However, academically, the themes of the novel are still related today, and the novel becomes more complex the deeper you dive into it. The book within a book format is easily able to parallel itself, and you can look towards multiple levels of the book. Paul's reflecting his thoughts of his situation in his book Misery that he's writing for Annie, while Stephen King is allowed to reflect many of his thoughts of his writing towards the public in the actual book Misery. The novel still has many themes such as between the reader and writer, that keeps it interesting and can keep literary views intrigued and keep readers diving deeper and deeper into it. The novel is still successful today and is still widely read and discussed, showing that it is quite successful. It is one of Stephen King's, or it is a highlight of Stephen King's career and one of the top-selling novels of his career. The novel is clearly a success because of all the relationships within the novel and the complexity of it. It's also a huge success because the relationship between the two main characters is extraordinarily strong, and it's what keeps the plot going. Thank you.